Back to school. It's September. That's right. Even though you're not actually in school, if you're an old guy like me, it's still something to think about. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today in my basement, this old guy is going to tell you young kids how to survive college. And it's really interesting. I was looking around for different jobs and things like that. Just I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of cool to look around for how much are they paying these days, or I got my house here, so I'm not really worried about rent or anything like that. But rent's been going up like crazy, so it's like just kind of checking things out. And whoa, it's a weird world out there. But we're going to talk about college anyways. And hey, Corey, hey, Shecky, and Wrench, welcome. So, yeah, it was kind of I was trying to think there. I always get these flashbacks around this time of year. So this is 2 weeks into September, and way back when I was going to college, this is how long have I been out? 20 years now. I kind of went back to school when I was older, but when I was learning how to fly at Sault College in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. It was a pretty intense program, and it was the first couple weeks. Like I was kind of the old guy in the class, and then all these younger guys, which I was that younger guy once too, and they were partying and partying and partying, and hey, everything's great. And then about 2 weeks in, they just started. We were taking 8 or I think 9 courses, and every couple days there'd be a quiz or a test or an exam or something like that, and then it just like test, and a lot of people weren't really prepared for that. So I'm gonna just kind of talk about what I think you should do if you're going to be surviving college. So it'll be my usual 5 things, right? 5 survival tips for college. So we're going to get out the old whiteboard here. 5 college survival tips. My number 1 tip is drop out. Don't go to college. It's too expensive. It's a waste of money. Well, not necessarily, but it's a little different now than it was way back in the day. I mean, my theories about that is that like when I was getting out of high school in the late 80s, getting into 1990 or whatever, it was a totally different time than it is now. There was no internet around. There were no jobs around. We got like straight out of high school right into a recession in 1990. And there was nothing. Like, I mean, you had to know somebody to get a part-time job, maybe somewhere. It was just like there was nothing out there. Oh, hey, here, Nefarious Johnson and Harold Cheeseburger. Hello. So it was kind of a different time. And so if you did need to get any knowledge at all, you had to go to university or college or something like that. That's where the repository of knowledge was. But now it's all here online, and you can listen to a smart guy talking in his basement, Professor Graham in his basement talking to you, spewing out the truth. So it's like, do you really need to spend that money now? Are those 2 little letters after your name, are they really actually needed? For some things, yes. I mean, you still can't. You couldn't learn online how to be an engineer, or because you got labs you got to do. You're working with physical. You're doing physical experiments, things like that. Projects, working in groups together, just like you would out in the working world. Or if you were going to be an emergency, I was talking to a guy I bought a first aid kit from at the safety store here. His daughter, I think, was finishing up a EMT course, or his son. And those guys, I mean, there's jobs everywhere out there. So everyone in the graduating class for the EMT course, like, what would that be? Emergency medical technician? What is that? I don't know. EMT. I don't know. The guys that drive the ambulances. So, and the girls. So, and move patients around. So, yeah. So something like that, where you're getting trained in something medical. Yeah, you can't really do that online if you're going to be a nurse or doctor, stuff like that. You got to actually, you got to dissect a few frogs to see what's going on. But generally, I'm gonna stick with the when before I went to Sioux College, like it was right very on the very first day. There was this one professor came in, and so the whole class was there, but almost 100 of us sitting in this auditorium. And the very first day, he said, "Drop out. Don't become a pilot. Become an engineer. Become a plumber. Do something else. Don't become a pilot. There's no money in it." And everyone ignored him, and we stayed in the class. But I would say now, for many many courses, drop out while you can, get your money back, and go grab a job. So I was looking, and I was thinking, well, what kind of jobs are out there right now? And I went to like, I don't live in Toronto, but I was thinking to myself, most people live in like a big city or a suburb of a big city and stuff, and rent is just like insane. So it's not like you could just like move out of the house when you're 18 anymore. It's just too expensive. But I was thinking, if you're sitting at home and you could suck, like, it's like the wages now are super high if you're like driving your dad's car or eating your mom's food, and you can sock away a ton of cash. Like, it was weird. I was looking for, okay, what jobs are around 25 bucks an hour in Toronto, and it's like first job that comes up, cat sitter, 32 bucks an hour to be a cat sitter. Oh yeah, take care of Fluffy. Make sure there's food in the bowl. Make sure there's water and food in the bowl. Here's 32 bucks. Go watch TV. Okay, cool. Good job. If you're not allergic to cats or something like that, don't mind getting hair on your black clothes. But yeah, I was looking at that. General labor, 25 bucks an hour. Like, just tons of like no-brainer jobs that any 18-year-old kid can do. And that's like 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year for like no education. Like, there you go. Like, I mean, you'd kill for a job like that back in the day. But all the baby boomers are retiring, and they retired, and there's no reason for you to go get a BA in history or something like that. Who cares? You can watch all your history you want on the internet, on the YouTubes. So, okay, so here we go. Number one, drop out. If that one doesn't work for you, we got number two. So let's just say we have decided we are going to stay in college and university. We're going to become that engineer. We're going to become that pilot. And the first thing you got to do is, there we go. Little Mr. Entitled, Mrs. Entitled, Miss Entitled. You got to show up, believe it or not. If you show up to class, that's a huge advantage. A lot of people don't do it. Some people are getting away with it. I know a person that was teaching at the college here, St. Clair College in Windsor, and she was saying that it was the weirdest thing that like there's a bunch of people that didn't show up, and or like her class list was like 200 people or something. It was like this big auditorium. Nah, maybe not 200. Let's just say a great big number. And then there's only maybe 20% of the class shows up, and she's thinking there's something wrong. And then like by the final exam, class is full. Everyone gets in. Everybody passes, as a matter of fact. Why? Because they've been dumbing things down over the years. That's why. So that's another reason why you might want to drop out first. Your degree isn't worth what it used to be. If you talk to any university professor that's been in the business for 20, 30 years, they have been dumbing down the curriculum just to allow people in and stuff like that. It's not as hard as it used to be. So that's what I've heard. So, anyways, here we go. You got to show up. But I mean, engineering is engineering. There's still a ton of math there. Accounting is accounting. You got to have your debits and credits in this tax law and that tax law and this form and all this other stuff. There's no dumbing down that. Like, you can't just like go like, okay, I'm an accountant now. Me make money. How much did I make? Well, I don't know, 50,000. Tax. Put it in the computer. I don't know. That's kind of more of a bookkeeper job. So, and yeah. So, anyways, that's number two. Show up, and that kind of goes along with number three. You will find, no matter what you do in life, you got to do the work. So you're going to show up to class and you are going to do what they tell you. That sounds like something, doesn't it? Sounds like a job. You show up, They do it. They tell you. You know, you do what they tell you. You get paid. That's cool. But in college, you got to pay for that. So to do what you got to do, you might have to learn something. Hopefully, it'll pay off for you in the long run. But yeah, I've found after I've been to all levels of school. I've been to college, like community college, as the Americans would say it. I've been to university, and I've also been a tradesman. So I've been at all levels of education, and they all come down to the same thing. Whatever level you're at, you got to. If you show up and you do the work that they assign you, you're going to pass. Surprise, surprise. And then when you get out in the work world, you show up, you do the work, you get a paycheck, you don't get fired. Well, surprise, surprise. Isn't that rocket scientist how to survive? But, some people, I don't know, they just, you know, they get into partying a bit too much at the beginning of the semester, and then they don't show up to class, they don't do the work, and then you're done. And now you got this great big student loan, or you're disappointing your parents, or something like that. And that sucks. And then you go get a job being a cat sitter for $32 an hour. Okay. Number 4. I almost want to move up to Toronto just to become a cat sitter, man. That's $32 an hour. I could do this and get $32 an hour, and just might be a little cat walking behind me or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, what else we got here? We have to do what was I talking? I got my little notes here. Jobs. Minimal. Okay, those are bad notes I gave myself. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. A little statement on part-time work while you are in school. Okay, so sometimes you want to make a little extra cash if you're going to school, so you might think about having a part-time job. So say if you're going to do some part-time work, don't do it too much. So when I was going to college there, it's like, yeah, I could use a little extra little extra beer money for the weekend. So I got a job that was really awesome that I heard about in second year of college, that was working in the library. So you just got to like put some books back on the shelves, face them up, make them out look nice and flat. Easy peasy work, minimum wage, and very flexible schedule. So I could go in. They're like, oh, we need someone here for 1 hour. Okay, well, I'm done class here. I'll go in and mess around with some books for an hour and go back to class, and I just made $8. Ooh, or whatever the minimum wage was back then. So, but I did see it where people were they got part-time jobs, and then they ended up. Well, it was funny because when I was going to school, the guys and the girls that were like 19 or 18 starting off, that was the very beginning of the millennials. And it was such a, because I'm a Gen Xer, right? So we show up on time and stuff like that. But the millennials, these millennial kids, I tell you, it was like they would like just like not show up to a job. And I'm like, oh, old man having a heart attack here. Well, did you quit? Did you give notice or anything? No, I just didn't show up. I'm like, what? So, yeah. So I had to go flying. I couldn't go to Tim Hortons and work the morning shift. So, anyways, keep the part-time work to a minimum. But then I guess nowadays there's just so many jobs out there. You could just flake on everybody. But I would, if it doesn't work out, but like I used to think, oh, I need to have a good reference on my resume or something. Okay, things are different now, like I say. Okay, our last little thing here is something that can waste a lot of time, and I saw people actually getting kicked out of the program and failing out because they were falling in love. So there we go. And so you want no boyfriend or girlfriend time there. Just put that off till after. You got to concentrate on either your school, or if you need the cash, you might have to go a part-time job there. But you add in, a little bit of snuggle time on the couch with your honey there, and then you can burn off like a whole day and uh, ooh, it's pretty gross when you're all falling in love, but it's kind of cool. But if it works out, but I mean, if it gets you kicked out of school, that ain't worth it, man. So I'd say hold off on the boyfriend girlfriend stuff if at all possible. I saw numerous people just like, hey, they're not in class, what are they doing? What do 19-year-olds do if they're away from home and they got their own place? I don't know what they're doing. So they're getting kicked out of school. That's what they're getting, what's happening. So anyways, that's a few little tips for you, and the thing is, if anyone else has any other little tips here in the chat, I'm going to go through and take a look and see if there's any 2 cents that people can add in here. So my 5 college survival tips are: number 1, drop out now while you can still get your refund. That was told to me, and so I will tell that to you. Okay, if you are there, show up and do the work. Just like a job, you show up, you do the work, you're going to do okay. And part-time work, don't do it too much, and lay off on the boyfriend girlfriend stuff. There we go. You should be able to survive if you do that. And don't, I guess it kind of goes without saying that if you are going to be showing up and doing the work there, you got to keep the partying to a minimum. Don't be all hungover on Monday. It's you're not learning anything if you're all hungover. You're still zinged up from the, I don't know. I don't even know what drugs kids do these days. As kids these days doing their funny drugs, smoking their funny things. I don't know what they do. But anyways, but I mean, there are some drugs that can keep you up for a few days, and then it takes you a few days to get back in the swing of things. So I hear. So, anyways, all right. So we're gonna go back here and yeah. Oh, and that was another thing I was gonna say too, is that just because you're not in school, like I was thinking this is probably a good time for people, like even if you're not in school, to pick up some other, if you wanted to learn something or some other skill or do something. This is like we've been, you start school in September, and then that's when we've been conditioned from kindergarten to at least grade 12 probably, or 12th grade, to okay, September, get down to work. And everybody, we've been brainwashed that way, so it's kind of natural for us to learn things right now. Probably be a little bit easier, I'd imagine. And so yeah, now's the time. You might want to pick up something new, some new I don't know, skill, or enroll in a class. Maybe it's a little too late now, but I would say it's probably easier to learn in this type of weather. It's pretty good. And then there's nothing to do when winter shows up, so you can just kind of study inside and stuff. So here we go. What else we got here? I'm just going to take a look here through in the chat. I wonder if someone popped in here that I didn't notice. Yeah, Shecky Nefarious. Okay, here we go. We got something from Wrench here, our engineer. Okay, so he's a degreed mechanical engineer, but many of his coworkers are not. He thinks he makes more, but after first decade out, learning new is on you. Yeah. So, you know what? Even as an engineer, I know a guy, and he started off as a machinist, and then he went to like a CNC machinist. So you're programming a computer, do little computer programs to make the machine drill holes and do the surfaces and things like that. And just at the job, he ended up getting promoted into, okay, design these cutter paths for people so we can do this die. And then they just moved him into the office. He just sat there, and basically, like Wrench was saying, he didn't have an engineering degree, but he was describing the work that he was doing. He's making all the blueprints. He's designing dies, for stamping metal and stuff. He was doing basically an engineer's job without the degree. So you might make a little bit less, and you can't sign off on things. But yeah, I mean, if you don't really have the money and you don't want to take out a big student loan to go to college, just start working. And the way it is now, if you got half a brain, you're getting promoted quick, and your wage is going to come up quick. But you got to have that half brain there, and you got to show up every day, do the work. You do that, man, you're better than, like, there's tons of people out there now that just don't show up to work. It's weird. Was it my neighbor there? He retired, and he was saying at his shop, yeah, they were gonna hire a replacement for him, and then he was gassing up his car at the gas station. He met somebody from the shop there that he worked at. He's like, "Oh, how's that replacement worker going for me? The guy that replaced me. How's he doing working out there?" And then the guy that was still working at the shop said, he's like, "Nah, he never showed up." So it's just like, if you can show up, and do the work, man, you're just gonna make a fortune these days. Yeah, here we go. Another engineer thing here. In the 80s, they would say, look left, look right, and one of you three will finish, two will fail. They actually said that when I went to Sioux College too. For my statistically, when I was there, it was about 2/3 would not make it through. So yeah, that's about right. But the people that did make it through probably showed up and did the work, I'll bet. So, uh, 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 okay, what else we got here? Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay. Wrench always has a bunch of good things here. We'll see what here. Wrench is saying that some degrees tolerate partiers. Yeah, but okay, you're gonna have a good fun time for a few years there, and then you got some degree that's kind of useless. And but if you really party, I don't think you can make it through. Well, you know what? I'm I'm wrong there, because when I got my psychology degree, I guess I waited until they dumbed it down enough that I could pass or something like that. But yeah, there was a lot of people didn't show up, and it was looking at like I was looking at the quality of some of the papers that people were handing in, and I'm like, this doesn't even pass like high school English. There's like spelling and grammar mistakes, and like paragraphs are all over the place. A plus. Like, okay. Yeah, but she always brought donuts to the teacher too, and the teacher liked donuts. So so anyways. Okay. I'm just gonna zip through. I might miss a few of the questions and comments here, but oh well. Hey, here we got Robin, my man. Learn to fly. Okay. You could. You don't need to go to university or college to learn how to fly, too, by the way. Um, you can go down to your local flight school, and I recommend to everybody now is like, don't go to college or university or anything for their programs for to learn how to fly. You would be much better off just if you could stay at home, get a job. Probably, like, I think a great thing would be get a job working at the airport, gassing up the planes and stuff. So what's going to happen there is that okay, and with that money, put that towards your flying lessons if you can stay at home and not pay rent and stuff. And then what you could do is, like, when you are gassing up those planes, you're learning some really good things about aviation safety, um, like just around the airplanes, marshaling, stuff like that. Like a lot of really good talking on the radio, like a lot of those things that will really make you look good if you're going to be applying for a job. Like that'll be your edge over somebody that worked at McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. So I mean, if if you got two candidates that are in front of you, and you would say, okay, this person has a commercial multi IFR. This person worked at Burger King. This person worked gassing up planes on the ramp. Oh, okay. I know who I'm going to hire. The person that has more of that aviation related experience. And then if you don't get a degree when you learn how to fly, like sometimes the unit, I guess it would be sometimes depending on the airline that they will require a degree. But what I would do is just get some dumbed down degree that's online that you can get. Do a Google search for online degrees. Get the cheapest, easiest, crappiest degree if that is a requirement for the airline you want to go to. But I think nowadays, if you show up there with an ATPL and a whole bunch of like pilot and command turbine multi-turbine pilot and command time, then airline would be like, well, the degree is part of the consideration, but we want this guy that can be a captain fast. And that's the way there's a shortage of that everywhere. Or you might get some billionaire that wants you to fly his Falcon jet around or something. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there in aviation that you can work and you don't need a degree. So what else we got here? Hey, I didn't know this. Hey, Robin, my man, passed his PPL at 72. That's great. Yep, never too late to learn. Okay. Very good. Okay. Okay, what's Wrench here saying? Don't forget to be really ESG score. I mean, that's a consideration these days for employers that are hiring people anywhere. I know, like, I was looking into just for kicks. I was looking into well, you know what? That's getting into like politics, skin pigmentation. So I'm just going to stay away from that. But we'll say that is a consideration somehow. And okay, very good. So let's okay. Some of these comments here are making me laugh. I don't discuss that here on the Super Pilotish channel. So yeah, that's about it. And today is Monday. So I'll be back on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And I'm going to shut these comments down. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.